Here we are, folks. Here we are. I know it's still a little bright. I know it's still just a tad bit bright. But we are going to. I'm getting a webcam coming in. From my understanding, it's going to be coming in on Monday, I believe. So I can't fix the camera. I've done everything that I can. I don't know how to fix it. But apparently it's something, I don't know who knows. But I've been having this problem now for a while, and I'm kind of tired of dealing with it. So for some reason, I don't know, because I have an iMac, and you can't, oddly enough, you can't just change, you can't go onto the camera and just change it, turn the brightness down. You can't do it. You can't do it. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of strange if you think about it. It's like you would think that there's a way that you could actually go into a settings, but apparently you can't. You can't. And I've tried everything. I've tried it, but I've been fighting with this. You guys know that I've been fighting with this for a while now, and it's just one of those things. You just, you try to do what you can, and that's all you can do. So we are live, and I just turned this down. That's pretty cool. See, you turn it really bright, like, woo, Lord, geez. All right. So hello to all you guys, and welcome to the Sacred Division. This is where we have a fun-filled, exciting show, and it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. I mean, that's the most important thing. I really do. I hope that you guys are doing what color profile. That's interesting. Automatically adjust. No, I don't want that. Color profile iMac. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm looking at the on the back here, and it's like, well, that's pretty interesting. You push this button. Well, I wonder what it does. I wonder what happens if I push this button. I tell you what, it's probably going to blow up. Okay, I am. When it comes to technology, I know how to do a few things, but when it comes to real tech, I am not good with technology. I'm just not. Oh, you're feeling. Hetty's feeling sad tonight. Well, what are you feeling? What are you feeling sad for? Oh, wow, that's you have a GoPro Hero 9. Well, that's pretty cool. Well, thank you, Deacon. Yeah, that's really, really cool. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we're getting ready to. Yeah, but the webcam is coming on Monday. So, and then we'll have a good time, because it is very dark on the screen on TikTok. It is kind of dark there, and because I can't turn the lights up any brighter, because if I do, it's like whoa, Lord geez. I mean, literally, like you see my hands. I mean, and the thing is you see how bright that is. The sad part is these lights are barely on. Isn't that crazy? These lights are barely on, but you would think by looking at my hands, I have them on full blast. I actually have them on level 1. I turned it on, and when you look at it, it's like, you see how weird that is? Yeah, I don't know. It is confusing to me. But anyway, hello, everybody, and welcome to the presentation. I hope that you're having a very good week, and I hope that you're having a beautiful paranormal Friday. We're here. Oh, it's acting bonkers too. Yeah, Arlene, it's one of those things. Well, everybody, so welcome to the presentation. I am doing well. I've just been very, very busy, but that's a good thing. It's a good thing. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that I love to talk about, because there's so much information out there on this particular topic. Part of me wants to believe, but another part of me, the skeptical side, said, no. And I'm talking about Bigfoot. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I love the background too. It's pretty cool. So the question is, and I posed this on my Facebook page. I'm wondering how many of you actually believe that Bigfoot exists. Yes, I am clergy. Obviously, I'm wearing collar. But I also love the paranormal. I love the paranormal. It's interesting, because I'll speak to people from all walks of life, and some people will tell me, James, you need to do less paranormal. James, you need to do more paranormal. James, you don't need to do paranormal at all. And it's getting, and I'm at a point in my life where I don't. I'm not seeking people's approval of how I live my life. This is my life to live. And I love the paranormal. And I'm not going to apologize to anybody because I do. And if someone doesn't, that's fine. That's fine. And I want to make this very clear so there's no misconception. This is not because of a conversation that I recently had with somebody, or it's something that I've really thought about. This has been going on for a long time. I've been in the paranormal field for a long time, and I've had people tell me, you need to do less paranormal. You need to do more paranormal. You don't need to do it. And to me, it's like, look, you're not living my life. This is mine to live. It's not yours. And if the paranormal is something that I love, then by God, I will be a part of it. I will talk about it. I will discuss it. I will discuss many things in the paranormal. And that's the way I'm going to live my life. And I don't seek people's approval, because if I seek people's approval, or if you're constantly seeking someone's approval, then you're really never living your life. You're living theirs. And we have one life. That's it. And I'll be damned if I'm going to live my life for the approval of these people over here who say I don't need to do any paranormal. These people over here say that I need to do more. And the people in the middle say, you don't need to do any. You know what? That's fine. That's your opinion. But Bishop James Long is going to do what Bishop James Long thinks he needs to do. And what I need to do is talk about the paranormal, help the paranormal community, and I'm not going to apologize to one person because I'm a part of the paranormal community. Now, there are things in the paranormal that I don't like. I will be very blunt about that. So, and I've had the opportunity to speak to some clergy friends who I love, and we talked about some things that I absolutely am in agreement that there are some things I'm not a big fan of. I'm not provoking, inviting, things of this nature. I'm not a fan of that at all. But I you know what? I have been throughout my life, I have had clergy be really nasty and very judgmental against me because I'm in the paranormal. Very judgmental. Very judgmental. Okay. And what bill of mine are you going? I have that old saying, you have an opinion on how I should live my life. And which bill of mine are you going to pay this month? I mean, if you're going to tell me how I should live my life, then you're going to pay my bills. That's the way I look at it. But people want to live in your head rent free and tell you how you should live your life. No, I ain't your boy. You ain't going to tell me what I should do and what I can't do. I will live my life the way I feel God has called me to live my life. And if you don't like it, then turn the channel. Okay. Yeah, I just really seriously, this is one of the biggest problems. This is one of the biggest problems within, being clergy. When I started this, there was only Father Andrew Calder and myself. We were the only clergy members in the paranormal community. That we were it. That was it. So we were pioneers, because back then, we communicated through Yahoo groups, and there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube, there was no Twitter, there was nothing of that stuff. That's how we communicated, through Yahoo groups. And so it was me and Father Andy Calder, and Andy was a good friend of mine, and he's passed away. May he rest in peace. But we were it. So there were no books on how to help the paranormal community, or how to. There was no guideline. We basically did it ourselves. We created the path that we thought we needed to take, and that goes on even today, So, well, Jack's Paranormal has to say something quickly, so I don't have to stop the show. All right. Sorry, everybody. I know. Hold on. Just hold on. Add moderator. Yeah, normally we do that before the show starts. Then I'll stop it. That's okay. That's good. Kathy says, Bishop Long, your mantra. I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone. Billy Joe. No, seriously. And I tell people that all the time. You have to do what there's people who's going to judge you all the time. There's going to be people who's going to judge you no matter what. There's going to be people who's going to say that you're doing evil, that you're bad, and you're this, and you're there. There's always going to be people who's going to judge you and tell you how you should live your life. These people over here are going to tell you you shouldn't do this. These people over here are going to tell you you need to do more of this. You know what? Literally, when someone tells me, Bishop Long, you need to stop doing that. And my response to them, okay, you want me to live my life your way. So which bill of mine are you going to pay this month? Are you going to pay the electric bill? No, but that doesn't matter. You shouldn't do this. Oh, I see. So you're not going to pay one of my bills, but you're going to tell me how I should live my life. No. Anyway. Yep, it is a great song. Adam and Eve, huh? Yeah. And hello, and by the way, for those of you on TikTok, howdy to you on TikTok, and howdy to you moderators. Thank you so much for being here for moderators. And make sure you like this video. We're going to talk about Bigfoot in a minute, but I had to get on my little soapbox because I have been bombarded today's a weird day. I've been slammed with phone calls from people telling me that I don't need to do the paranormal anymore. I need to stop. I need to stop right now. Literally, I have had in the email, I think 41 emails and 14 calls. Obviously, I'm being spammed because I don't think it's all I think it's from multiple. It's a group. So if you're watching Mr. Group that's calling me or emailing me, I guess I can say to you, kiss my grits. That's a flashback. And did you guys watch the show? What hell? Alice. There we go. Alice. Yeah, she was great. Oh, I'm not going to stop. Believe me, I am not going to stop. I will continue doing the paranormal until the day I die because I believe that God is calling me to serve. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put myself through this type of torture of being judged and condemned for all these years that I have been. But this is what God has called me to do. And I will continue. And like I said yesterday, I'm not going to go into conversation, but yesterday I had a great conversation with a dear friend of mine, a colleague, a friend of mine who's a clergy. And it was a very good conversation and made me really think about life and the callings. And so that was a great conversation. So, yeah, but here we go. We're going to talk about Bigfoot. And I don't know about you guys, but I really am. I'm on the fence with Bigfoot. Well, thank you, Miss Wilmer. Miss Wilmer is watching, by the way. I appreciate that. I'm on the fence with Bigfoot. Part of me just doesn't believe. And I guess because we haven't captured one. And Miss Wilma would definitely say, I don't believe in Bigfoot because why haven't we captured one? Now, unfortunately, Wilma's watching the show, but I don't have, because she didn't tell me she wanted to call in. But what I will do, Wilma, is if you do, I will open up that program. You can call that 410 number just in case you want to call in and talk about your personal thoughts on this. But I am so stuck. I'm on the fence with this Bigfoot. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Do I think that some of these can be directed by other side to get you to stop looking? Is that for me there, radio? But I don't know. Have you? Okay, let me just say this. Have you guys ever seen a Bigfoot? I'm really curious. If there's anyone here, have you actually seen a Bigfoot? I mean, literally seen one. So there's a lot of people saying TikTok saying no. Oh, Mark, you have. Okay. Oh, I think there's just a lot of hater gators out there. No. You heard weird noises in Colorado. Let me tell you something. I was in Colorado and I saw something that I can't explain. Yeah, TikTok is mine. No, but I think I've seen a gray once. Now, a gray, are you referring to a gray Bigfoot? Or are you talking about an actual alien? Because people will refer to aliens as grays. So just for clarification. Yes, in your dreams. Okay. 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 Hetty I've seen and heard one. All right. How do you get rid of well, we'll talk about demons in a second. Okay, yeah, alien gray. Yeah, I got to tell you something. I have a lot of friends who absolutely are 1,000,000% convinced that aliens exist. And you know what? I do believe that aliens exist. Because it's simply impossible for us to think otherwise, at least in my opinion. There's a lot of people who believe he's a multi-dimensional being. There's a lot of people who actually believe that he is. Some people even say that he is an alien himself. I see. Again, I guess my mind is so skeptical when it comes to these type of things, because it's not that I want to just immediately be a naysayer, but yeah, I saw a 10-foot grizzly once from a distance in California, but he was still no question. Okay. Let me say something about this. Here's why I think that Bigfoot may exist. So the first hour, folks, we're going to talk about the Bigfoot, and we'll get into demonology in just a second. There are, and I've had the opportunity to interview these people. There are game wardens in Alaska. Now, these are game wardens, guys. These are people who have lived in Alaska. They are native Alaskans. They grew up in the woods. They know animals. They are the experts in the field. No question about it. They know every single animal that exists because they grew up in the woods. There are game wardens who have said clearly that they have seen an animal, a massive animal that's 10 feet tall. It is bipedal, meaning standing up on two legs. It is very hairy, and it walks on two legs. Now, guys, people say, well, it's a bear. Okay, if a game warden cannot tell the difference between an animal that they've never seen before and a bear, then they shouldn't be a game warden. I mean, honest to God, let's be honest here. I absolutely am convinced that a game warden in Alaska would know the difference between a Kodiak bear, which are huge. Don't get me wrong. They are huge. But they would know the difference between a Kodiak bear, a moose, and some bipedal animal that's walking around on its legs, in which it has very long legs. Keep in mind, Kodiak bears do not have long human-like legs. They are big animals. They are huge animals, but they don't have long legs. And quite honestly, they can't sit and walk around on two legs for long periods of time. Now, they definitely stand up on two legs and brush against the trees to mark their territory and to grab whatever type of food. But as far as walking around, no, they don't. They don't. So there's something when I hear this from game wardens, and I've interviewed them before on the show, and they tell me I can't, and they're native Alaskans. I can't dismiss that, because here's the thing. Listen, guys, they have nothing to gain. They have nothing to gain for lying. Nothing. They're not selling books. They're not doing movies. They are game wardens, and their reputation is really what's very important. So for them to go out in public and say, I have seen a Bigfoot, that could really destroy the reputation within obviously within the conservation movement. But they're willing to do it because they saw something that was so amazing that they can't explain it away. And I think in those cases, we have to take that seriously, and we can't dismiss it as just nonsense or bears. There's no way a game warden in Alaska is going to misinterpret a bear. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So Now, I will tell you this. Yeah, you wonder how, and people say, well, why haven't we have bones? Miss Wilma will say, well, where's the bones? Why don't we have the bones? Okay, it's possible. Here's an argument for that. The argument is that Bigfoots actually may be intelligent beings. They may not be just creatures that just simply forage for food and sleep, and that's it. And you know, whatever else animals do. But they actually may bury their dead. We don't know. We simply don't know. And people say, well, that's just stupid. That's just dumb. Well, no, it's not dumb, because now you're dismissing people who are game wardens in Alaska, who are far more advanced in identifying animals than any of us. And so I think we can't just say, no, it's just dumb. You know, and that's right. And some people, well, thank you very much. That's a pretty card. I've never seen that before. Thank you very much. It's very kind. Thank you. And thank you for the gifts on TikTok. I do appreciate them very much. Now that's right. I have seen the theory that Bigfoots live underground. Again, we simply don't know. This is we don't know. We don't know. And so I'm just kind of wondering, when we look at Bigfoot and we think about it, there is something. There's too many people. There's too many people who are saying that they have seen this creature. Now, I'll tell you my story, because I have a story that I want to tell you guys, and I do not believe it was a demon. And I'll tell you this in just a second. You're right. Look how long it took to find dinosaur bones. We just simply don't know. Now, so Bigfoot, we know, is a large bipedal humanoid creature. From what people have said, some people have seen it and said it's like 6 to 10 feet tall, some even taller than that, weighing over 500 pounds. So that's a big creature. That is a huge, huge creature. Now, also, the people are just saying it's always covered in hair. Sometimes it's dark brown. Sometimes in some cultures, it's actually lighter in color. Now, when you start getting into the white, you're talking about the Yetis, and that's a bit different. So obviously there's it's supposed to have big feet. We know that. Now, recently there was a DNA done where the people have seen, not far off from the Patterson film, and I saw this on a documentary, which was very interesting, that the DNA was actually taken. It's called eDNA, which is called environmental DNA. And they took it from this stream where allegedly people were seeing Bigfoot. According to this DNA that was captured, now, of course, there was fish, there was other animal species, birds, things like this, but there was some type of human DNA, but it was 2% off. And now people say, well, the 2%, that's ridiculous. It was human. No, that's what a chimpanzee's DNA is 2% off of ours. So that's the difference between humans and chimpanzees. So, but there's something that they captured in the eDNA that they don't have, or they have not categorized this species DNA because it's brand new. They don't know what it is. And in this area, there are no chimpanzees. So, and if it was a chimpanzee, obviously it would have came back as the DNA of chimpanzee. So that's something going on there. That is something very strange is occurring, especially with that DNA. So we talked about, well, there are theories as far as this, where it is. Now we know, according to some beliefs, Bigfoot exists in North America. There's a lot of people who have said it's in northwestern states, California, Washington, Oregon, British Columbia, of course, Alberta. There have been some Bigfoot sightings even in Kentucky. I don't know how accurate that is, but I will tell you that Miss Wilma and I experienced something that I can't explain. And I'll tell you about that in just a second. Bigfoot, well, Trevor says Bigfoot's not real. See, that's the thing. We're kind of leaving this. I think we got to have a conversation about this, because when you say absolutely not real, then what you're really saying is that game wardens in Alaska who have absolutely went on television, who have nothing to gain, have said that they have seen this creature. You're basically saying, well, they're either lying or they misinterpreted this creature that they saw. You can't misinterpret a bear for a Bigfoot. You can't. And if you can, then you have no business being a game warden in Alaska. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. Now listen to this. There are many different Aboriginal groups that have creatures about myths and legends that sound very much like Bigfoot. So Bigfoot's not a creation that by America. In the 1920s, a Canadian historian, his name was J.W. Burns, and he was actually researching these myths of the Northwest, and he was amazed to find how many cultures who never communicated with one another have the same type of story. Now, of course, in his research, then he called this giant Sasquatch. But when you start getting in different cultures that do not communicate with one another, when you start getting different cultures in different regions having the same story and describing this creature almost identical, you can't dismiss that. There's something then going on. I mean, if you have one culture in North America, you have one culture in Nigeria, you have one culture in Europe, whatever it might be. And of course, this is far before the internet. Okay, this is before the internet. So social media didn't exist then. We're talking about in the 1920s, guys. 1920s. So there was no Facebook, or you can't go on Wikipedia. Didn't exist. But when you have cultures that are so far apart from one another, in which there was no interaction, and they're reporting seeing the same thing, you can't dismiss that. That's not a coincidence. There's something going on. Yeah, the Himalayas too. You're right. But with the Himalayas, especially with the Himalayas, when you're getting into Yetis, that's a whole different ball of wax, because many people within that region, they actually believe that the Yetis protect the mountain, and that if you abuse or trash the mountain or disrespect the mountain in any way, that the Yetis could actually attack. Bigfoot, the reports on Bigfoot seem to be that Bigfoot's more curious, but at the same time, if he doesn't want you around, he doesn't want you around. And he'll throw sticks, he'll throw rocks, make noises to scare you off. I don't know. I've never seen a Bigfoot, so I can't tell you that, these things exist. But by the way, the name Bigfoot became popular after a newspaper article. It was in 1958, describing the footprints that were found. And that really is where we start getting the actual name Bigfoot, which is actually pretty cool. If you a little bit of history there. We know now people say, well, this is a modern nonsense story. No, it's not. It actually, the first recorded sighting of Bigfoot came in 1811. 1811. Actually in Jasper, in Alberta, Canada. There was a guy named David Thompson. He found some very strange footprints. They were 14 inches long, 8 inches wide. They had 4 toes in the snow. And then there's also in 1924, there was a guy named Albert Ostman. Now he claimed he was kidnapped by a Bigfoot family, and he lived with them for a week until he escaped. Now, again, you can say, oh, good grief, that's okay. But in 1967, the holy grail of all evidence, there were 2 friends. There was Roger Patterson, which most of you guys, if you know Bigfoot, you know the story, and Robert Gimlin. They took a film, a very short film, of what many people who think is a female Bigfoot. Now, there have been people that this film has been analyzed, reanalyzed, overanalyzed, and apparently there are individuals who have watched this film who are actually experts. They are experts in the field of video editing and prop making, costume making. These people are experts. They do it for a living. They do it for television. They do it for movies. They're far probably more advanced than any of us, unless you do this for the movies. And many of them have said that they have evaluated this film in 1967, and there is no way that with the technology they had then, they could have, that this was a fake suit. The reason being because in this film, you can actually see the muscles in the leg of this creature. With a costume on, you can't see the muscles. You just simply can't. But with this actual film, you can actually see the leg muscles in this. So again, it's the Patterson film. We'll talk about the scariest case because I've definitely answered that question many times, and you probably the first time but we'll talk about that in just a second. Right now, I want to talk about Bigfoot, and then we'll get into the demonology and things of this nature. But for those of you who don't know, this 1967, and it's Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin, and this was in California. I tell you, it really is one of the most amazing films. And again, this has been evaluated and reevaluated. Check it out, watch it, take a look at it. If you've never seen it before, then look at it, and then you can come up with some type of evidence. Now, there are people who are experts in footprints and the heels, and I don't even know what you'd call them, but they're experts in this field. I have seen the documentaries. They were on these documentaries, and they have said that some of these heels, some of these footprints that have been captured, that have been plastered, it is impossible for you to fake this because it's just like a thumbprint. The thumbprint is, each one is so unique. And again, these are people that are very credible in their field, and they have publicly stated that some of these prints, there's no way it could have been faked. In 1958, there were thousands of these footprints have been discovered in North America. And there's been a lot of plaster casts or photographs been taken of these things that have not, some of them have been explained away, but not all. Yes, there are those that are hoaxes. We all know that. People dressed in ape suits. But the Patterson film, according to many professionals, they swear that there's no way you could have faked it. It's just simply no way. Because even if people say, what could be a bodysuit? The bodysuits didn't exist then. The costumes that you had, even if it was a tight-fitting bodysuit, the hair would have obviously covered up the bodysuit, so you couldn't have had, there's no way you could have seen the muscles in the legs. But on these, you can actually see the muscles. You can't explain that. Again, you can't explain that away. So for me, I'm kind of like, I don't know, guys. This is, it's one of those things. Now, there are a lot of theories. Yeah, you're right. And we're going to talk about that. The Russian hikers in 1959. Yeah, there's a lot of people who actually believe that they came across a Bigfoot. There is a particular, there's a film, that they took, one of the last pictures that they took of what appears to be some creature that, again, a very tall, and I believe they analyzed it was about a 10 feet tall person. Well, there's no 10 feet tall people running around in this area during winter, the middle of winter in Russia. And so there's just not. And so they actually believe that it's possible that these hikers that you're referring to in Russia, that they actually saw and captured what appears to be a Bigfoot. It's called the Dyatlov Pass. So Dyatlov, he was a hiker. They were hikers. They were in college and they were trying to go get some credentials, and they went to this area in Russia in the middle of winter, very cold, very, very cold, dangerous, quite dangerous. And when they were there, something happened. Something terrible happened. And we're talking about -20 degrees, folks. It's Dyatlov Pass, Dyatlov. Something happened. These were experienced hikers. I want to say this first of all. They were not people who are just brand new. They were very experienced hikers. Something so frightening happened to these people that they had cut the tent from the inside. So they were looking out. What they were looking at, we don't know. But someone had cut a slit in the tent. Something happened. They were looking at something that was frightening to them. And minus 20 degrees, blizzard conditions. Now we're talking blizzard. And minus 20 degrees, that is life-threatening. You leave your tent in minus 20 degrees, that's unbelievably that's life-threatening. They ran, not only did they leave their tent, they ran so fast that some of them had no clothes. They were just in their undergarments. Something terribly frightening happened to these people. Now, there are theories. There are theories of this. Some people are saying the Russian government reopened this case. But here's something that I want to tell you in just a second. So the Russian government, they wanted to know more about it, so they reopened the case. Allegedly, their excuse was that they had dug into the side of this hill and there was some form of avalanche. Now keep in mind, they were at a 28-degree level. So you have to be at least 30 degrees in order for an avalanche to even be plausible. So they were at 28 degrees. Now, the belief is they dug into this small hill and that this big avalanche happened and it scared them all. Well, there's a couple problems with that theory. Some of these individuals had died from blunt trauma. Blunt trauma. So a cracked skull. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the things that on their autopsy, it was a blunt trauma. Environmental, I forgot what the official term was. And eyes gone, tongue gone. Something happened. We just simply don't know what it was. Now, I don't believe it was the avalanche theory. I don't know what happened, but I know that something did. So many people say that the Dyatlov Pass was based on a Sasquatch attack. I don't know. But I do know, if you look at it, go online, look at Dyatlov Pass last picture that was found in the camera, and you will see this black figure. Clearly, it looks like I don't know. It's black. You can't really see the details, but they were able to go to that location and they were able to mark by the tree. They were to figure out how big it was. And it was 10 foot tall. 10 foot tall. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but they ain't no 10 feet tall basketball players. So explain why a 10 foot tall person, which doesn't exist, is wandering around in the blizzard in Russia. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can definitely take a look at that. Let me see. Hold on one second, see if I can find it. Yeah, I don't know. When you look at this thing, I don't know. There's another picture in the sky that has like little like lights in the sky. They think that could be possible, some type of rocket. Again, I don't know. But here is, all right, let me just show you this. Yeah, this is actually was captured on one of the cameras. And so there's this. There's this. But when you look at that, there's something going on. And you can go online and take a look at it. You like a little better. But now here's the kicker on this. Now, for those of you who are immediately saying, well, that's just ridiculous. There's no Bigfoot. Okay, but listen to this one. There is a documentary where one of the, I don't know if it was a police or investigators, one of the investigators, there was somebody who was there. I can't remember if he was a part of the military, but he actually was there for one of the first people on the scene of the Dyatlov Pass incident around this tent. Now, he claims that there were very large footprints around this area, around the tent area. And that as soon as the military came, they immediately, kind of washed them over with the snow and told him, keep moving on. You know what? When you think about that, that's it's one of those things you can't dismiss. So yeah, you check that out. Again, I think it's pretty impressive when you see it. But anyway, there's theory. There's a lot of theories about Bigfoot, that it's an ancient ape. It's a giant cousin of the orangutan. Some theories that it's an unknown species of bear. I don't really know if I buy that. And there's another myth that it's a shapeshifter, capable of turning himself invisible, which is how he allegedly hides from people so well. So again, there's a lot of theories on Bigfoot, but I don't think we can immediately dismiss it and say that Bigfoot does not exist. I don't know. Yeah, a Russian. Some people say there was a Russian cover-up, either military or what, and it's quite possible. It's quite possible. By the way, this is something that's also very important. Well, listen to this. During the National Public Radios, there was a National Public Radio talk on Science Friday. Jane Goodall. Now, Jane Goodall is one of the leading experts, probably the leading experts on chimpanzees. She's devoted her entire life to the study of apes and chimpanzees. Jane Goodall is the GOAT, if you will, when it comes to chimpanzees. She was interviewed and she was asked, do you believe that Bigfoot exist? And her response is, you're going to be amazed when I tell you that she said that she did believe that they existed. Now, or they exist. Now, this is Jane Goodall. This is someone who is an expert, who is the person to go to in a scientific community when it comes to chimpanzees. Jane Goodall saying that she absolutely believes that Bigfoot exists. You can't dismiss that. You simply can't. Now, and people, you can laugh all you want, but you're not Jane Goodall. And Jane Goodall has lived and devoted her entire life to the study of chimpanzees, lived amongst chimpanzees, gorillas. And when she says something like that, the whole world pays attention, and as well as she should, and they should. So again, people say, well, prove to me that Bigfoot exists. I don't know if Bigfoot exists or not. I don't know. Now, there was an ape, by the way, that lived, we do know this through fossils, 5 million years ago. And as recent as 100,000 years ago in parts of China, India, and Vietnam. And scientists have noticed that when studying the fossils of this creature, it ate the same thing as a panda bear, like primarily bamboo. They called it giganto. And its cause of extinction is said to be the arrival of humans, competing with other panda bears and the die-off periods of the bamboo. Again, this was a massive creature that did exist. That absolutely did exist. So I don't know. So Bigfoot's not the only giant hairy monster in the world. Keep in mind that there have been Bigfoot sightings in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Scotland, Japan, Vietnam, Malaysia, China, Tibet, Canada, Australia. I just don't know if we can dismiss this and say that, yeah, that's right. That's right, Logan. I just don't know if we can dismiss this, because if it's being reported, no, I don't know. There's something going on. So Miss Wilma and I, no, I disagree with that. No, you're absolutely wrong about Jane Goodall being not credible. I mean, give me a break. Jane Goodall is one of the most credible individuals when it comes to studying. That's absolutely not true, and that's come on, give me a break. Jane Goodall has far more credentials than any of us combined when it comes to the study of gorillas, chimpanzees, the nature. No. So I don't buy that at all. I think that's trolling, and yeah, she's a pioneer in the movement, and to say that no, okay. Yeah, we'll talk about ghosts and demons in a second, guys. I really want to talk about the first hour. I'm focusing on the Bigfoot, because I really want to. Now, by the way, Ray Crow, he is the president of the Western Bigfoot Society in Portland, Oregon, and he says that the image captured on the Patterson film has a fluid motion. So, in other words, it's not stopped. Okay, now let's do it this way. Let's do it that way. No. Grover Kranz, he's a Washington State University professor of anthropology. And he actually said in an interview, there is no way to fit a man in that type of suit, especially the height. It's just simply not possible. So when you look at all the evidence presented, you have to think that it certainly could exist. Now, there's a Professor Krantz, also of Washington State University, analyzed the Patterson Gremlin film and noted that the creature had a feet of about 6 feet inches, had a height of 6 feet 6 inches, weighed around 500 pounds, had shoulders over 28 inches wide. Now, I don't know even know a professional linebacker or a tackle or guard in the NFL that is 6 feet 6 and 500 pounds. Come on. I think we have to look at it and say something's a little strange there. So now, yeah, you're right. That is massive. That's massive. Now, so my experience with Miss Wilma, we were, for Green Bay, perhaps, but even then at 500 pounds, there is no, it's amazing. So Miss Wilma and I were driving down the road, and it was kind of getting dark. It was kind of getting dusk now. We could still see with the headlights of the car, and we were coming over her bridge, and this was probably about maybe 75 feet from us. So it wasn't really a huge distance. And I slammed. I mean, I really put the brakes on, because something, I don't know what it was, but something caught my eye. It was in the middle of the road. It was on a bridge. It was massive. I saw this black, solid silhouette of a shape. It looked like a man body, but huge. It was huge. Wilma saw it as well. Wilma is my 67-year-old friend. Now, Wilma doesn't lie. That's one thing she does not do. She is one of the most honest people you'll ever meet in the world, if you ever get to meet her. And I will tell you, we both saw this thing. And Wilma doesn't like to talk about it because she gets scared of this kind of stuff. She gets really scared. But we both saw it. Not only did we see this thing, but it jumped off the bridge, and underneath it was a good at least 30-foot drop. There's no way. First of all, there's no way it could have been a man. There's no way. It was simply too tall. It was really tall. And when this thing jumped over that bridge, it would have killed somebody. They wouldn't have survived that jump. There's no way they would have survived. And no one would have jumped off of it unless they were completely intoxicated. But you had to be 8 to 10 feet tall. But I absolutely, we both saw this thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was. But I do know that we saw it. It was in the middle of the road. It was standing on the bridge, and it jumped off that bridge, and below it was a 30-foot drop. And that was insane. Tall man, I know, because when we went there, there's no way you wouldn't have survived a 30-foot drop. That would have broken your leg, or there's no way. And there's no 8 feet tall 8 feet tall men around here. So I firmly believe there's something going on. I don't know what it was. Don't know. Now, I will tell you this. I went to the Gates of Hell Cemetery in Kentucky, and I've talked to you guys about this. The families asked me if I would go bless some graves because, unfortunately, people do some things that they shouldn't do there. And I said yes. And during these blessings, and this is the place that I talk a lot about, there was a putrid smell. And we saw me and other people who were there was outside on the fence, on the boundaries, there was something looking at us. I would say it's maybe 15, 20 feet away. So it wasn't that far. It made no noise. The eyes were fluorescent green. And they were, spread apart probably about that. It was a pretty good size. They weren't close like ours. It was spread apart. And originally I thought it was a couple, animals. But I thought, well, there's no way, because it would duck. We would see it duck behind the tree and then kind of look like it was scrouches, kind of bending down, and then look behind the tree, and it would stand up again. It was like really, really tall, and it would look out, and we would see that it would blink. So, we could clearly see this thing blink, and the smell was terrible, but it made no noise. It didn't throw anything at us, but it kept looking like this way and kept looking like this way. And it would kind of crouch down and then look this way. It kept hiding behind this tree. Now, and the fluorescent green, it was a fluorescent green eyes. I will tell you this. When I came home and I took my dog Kylie outside, and I remember taking her out front, and about 20 feet across the street is a field. There are bushes, so you can't see past the bushes. But my little dog was doing her little business. I was like, all right, Kylie. It was getting late. It was around midnight, 12:30, something like that. And I will tell you this. I've heard a lot of growls in my life. As an exorcist, I've been in a situation where people or the demonic has growled. This growl that I heard was something that I have never, ever heard in my life. Never. It was massive. It was the deepest that honest to God, I was terrified. Because number one, I had Kylie there, and Kylie, anyone who knows me personally know that I put Kylie before my wants or needs. Kylie was my little girl, and I would have done anything in the world to protect Kylie. I was terrified. I had no idea what this thing was. Now, people say, well, it could have been a bear. No. I've heard bears growl, and this was not a bear. You need to think much deeper. It could have been a mountain lion. No, mountain lions don't growl like that. It was like, and this was 20 feet away, but you could put a big, gigantic bass speaker on my back, turn the bass all the way up, and play one of those boom music. I felt the growl in the chambers of my chest. And I would take a lie detector test right here and now. I have never in my life have I ever heard a growl like that. It was, man. Yeah. There was smell, but it wasn't as putrid as it was at the cemetery. It was a dog smell, a wet dog. That's what it smelled like. But this growl had to have come from a big, and I mean really big animal. Have you ever heard of a lion? The deep. Think bigger. Think much bigger. I'm telling you guys, this was. I grabbed. Needless to say, I grabbed Kylie as fast as she was doing her business. I said, "Nope, you're just going to have to keep doing your business while I'm putting you in the house. Just get it done. Just come, because we're not staying out here anymore." That I have never in my life have I experienced a growl like I have, and I hope to never experience it again. I don't know what it was. See, I don't know what it is. I don't know. We don't have tigers here, but it was, again, no, it wasn't an auditory. It wasn't auditory hallucination. I heard and felt the growl. There was no hallucinating about that at all. There was no hallucinating. That was no. So I don't know. Yeah, he could have followed me. I don't know, or whatever. I don't know what I saw at the gates of hell. Have no clue. I don't know, and I have no idea what growled at me. But I will tell you this: I won't go outside of my home anymore after at midnight. That shook me. There are very few things in my life that's shaken me to the core. The gates of hell, when I saw that figure, well, actually, me and 3 other people, including Bishop David Price, when we saw that figure in that tree, that I still don't know what this thing was, that and that growl. Yeah, I don't know. I was terrified. I was really, it wasn't, no, think bigger than Panther. Think bigger. Literally, this was, I'm telling you, this had to have come from a big animal. I mean, this was a deep growl. And it was long. I mean, it was really, really deep, and it lasted for a while. And I thought, nope. That was a clean on. Yeah. I don't know. But I don't ever want to experience that again. Never. Well, the reason is I'm telling the story because we're talking about Bigfoot, and Bishop James Long with the Force, he is strong. Yeah, I tell you, not on that night. On that night, I said, nope, we're going inside. We are going. But honest to God, when I think about it, I just wanted to get inside as fast as I could. But to be honest with you, whatever creature that was, if it really wanted to get in here, it could have done it very easily. It would not have been a difficult thing for that thing to get in here, because it had to come from, I don't know. It was big. That's all I know. Well, no, actually, the Nephilims. No, people talk about the Nephilims a lot, and they say it's an offspring of angels and women, and that's actually not correct. Not correct at all. A lot of people want to talk about the Nephilims and say that it's demonic, and it's not, because we actually see Genesis actually, and even not, but St. Paul even makes it very clear that the Genesis, that Nephilims existed before and they existed after the event allegedly took place where demons and women had offspring or had relations. And it actually says that in Scripture. It says it in Scripture. And actually, Paul says this. Paul says, don't worry yourself with needless genealogies. He was referring to the book of Enoch, because the book of Enoch talks extensively on the genealogy of angels that goes to Lucifer. And Paul even says, don't worry yourself over needless genealogies And he even talks about the myth of the Nephilim. And actually in the Greek, Nephilim means fierce warriors. It does not mean the offspring of angels and women. That is something that is spread by people who want to put YouTube videos together to scare people so they can buy things. So there's a little bit of information there, just in case you guys want to know. But a lot of people will immediately think that the Nephilim were, and that is all just, that really is not true. It's simply not true. And I don't know, again, it's one of those things that's taught or in a lot of these videos. And for those people who want to know a little bit more about the Nephilim, by the way, it does speak about this in Scripture in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. It's very, very clear. If you read Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, it refers to the Nephilim. And so it's not they were just simply not. It says that they were there before and after. So there we go. Genesis 4, chapter 6, verse 4 answers who they were, and it says that they were there before and after the angels had relations with women. Therefore, it obviously clearly says that they existed before the event. Now, keep in mind, St. Paul talks about in 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 4. And then also 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. So and that's when he said, hey, don't argue over needless genealogies and foolish myths like the Nephilim. So that is a direct reference to the book of Enoch. Because the reason, again, like I mentioned, because the book of Enoch had discusses this long genealogy of angels to Satan. And the reason is the book of Enoch was not considered, was not put into Scripture as valid, because basically it puts the blame of sin on demons and not our free will, which is heresy. It's not correct. So basically what happened in the 3rd and in the 2nd century BC, people misinterpreted the term Nephilim. And that's how the cultural belief was incorporated into the book of Enoch. So that's why people started believing, because it was a cultural belief that Nephilims were giant offsprings of angels and women. But again, Paul makes it very clear, no, they were not. And it also, again, makes it very clear in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. So the whole idea of the Nephilim were offspring of angels and women, nope. And I just gave you scriptural evidence to back it up. What you are reading is, or what you're seeing on YouTube or videos or documentaries or whatever it might be, they're doing it just to scare you, and they're doing it to sell something. And they're selling you junk because it's simply not true. All right. So there we go. Yeah, I discussed Nephilim in the paranormal course. Oh yeah, the werewolf spirit. Yeah, there's a lot. I have a good friend of mine who is Willie Windwalker Gibson. He's a shaman, and he does talk a lot about shapeshifters. He also taught the wind, and then there's several other Native American beliefs as well, and that he talks a lot about. So there's also known as the Wendigo, and we talked about that like a month or so. But a lot of people swear by the Wendigo. A lot of people said that they have seen this creature, and but there's a lot of debate. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, okay, Fisherman has you're on with the red cross on our view left shoulder. TikTok has your image reversed, huh? Facebook and YouTube has you're on with the red cross on your view left shoulder. TikTok has your image reversed. I don't know. Has a red cross on our view left shoulder? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Are you talking about this thing right here? If you're talking about that right here, sorry, you guys can't see it, but right here, that is actually an image. That's the coat of arms for the church, the USOCC. I don't know if that you're referring to. So you might be referring to that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. The lighting. No. Oh, my pen. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah. Yep. 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 My pen. This is a Benedictine. That's a Benedictine pen. And that is my Mensa pen. Yep. Okay. So there we are. Now let's get into our I have some really, really cool stories that I want to share with you guys because I think this is really cool. I think this is neat. And I want to share this. I always want to share, if there's something going on in the paranormal community, I want to share it with you guys. And you can take it, you can leave it, you can do whatever you want to, but I want to share it with you regardless. So you can kind of go from there. But this is by Steve Barrett. Steve Barrett, it's pretty cool. It's by HeraldStandard.com. And he says, a hauntingly great time. So for those of you who would like what we've talked about just for tonight, well, UFOs, Bigfoot, and other unexplained paranormal events will be among topics of discussion at the 3rd annual Southwestern Pennsylvania Haunted Con. Now, that's going to be Saturday, March the 19th. March 19th at the REC Center in Waynesburg. So for those of you who are in that area or you want to do something next week, well, here you go. The SWPA Haunted Con, that's the name of it. You can check it out, SWPA Haunted Con. It attracts people of all walks of faith and life in many different areas, and it generates great interest in the paranormal tourism in Greene County, which obviously is a good thing. Said organizer Kevin Paul. Now, Paul is a Greene County native and author of the Haunted Hills and Hollows, What Lurks in Greene County, Pennsylvania book series, has studied and researched paranormal activity and says he has experienced incidents and unexplained encounters since he was a child. In 2018, he and co-author Rosemary Ellen Guiley, may she rest in peace, released their first book, Haunted Hills and Hollows, Lurks in Greene County, Pennsylvania. Now, in the first book, Rosemary and I set out not only to explore documented Greene County history, but tie it in with a remarkable amount of reported paranormal activity in proximity to known locations of clashes between Native Americans and colonial settlers of what is now Greene County, he explained. Now, during our journey, we discovered an untouched, undocumented, and often unreported wealth of high strangeness in the form of cryptids, shadowy figures and shapes, hauntings, strange lights in the sky, and non-human entities. So, by the way, he's going to talk about his experience at presentation at 3 p.m. For those of you, there's going to be several authors. There's going to be several type of presentations as well, and you might want to check it out. So, if you are wanting to know a little bit more about that, again, you can type in Google SWPA, P as in Paul, SWPA Haunted Con. And again, that's going to be March the 19th. There we go. Kathy, thank you. Appreciate it, Kathy. It's Facebook.com/SWPA Haunted Con. Well, it sounds like it'd be a pretty cool place. It certainly sounds like something would be fun to do. So there we go. You can check that out and you can go visit, and something to do if you are in the area. Also, this is from a really cool, I love this website. It's a neat place. It's posted in New Hampshire. Rachel, I'm not going to even try to say your last name because I messed it up. It's onlyinyourstate.com. Tour the Haunted James House. See, I love history. I love history. So for me, I would love to just go to this place, not as to investigate, but just to go to experience the historical aspect of it. But the Haunted James House, and then dine with ghosts, it says here, at Three Chimneys Inn in New Hampshire. So if you're in the area, New Hampshire, which became a state back in 1776, is rich in history, including that of paranormal nature. Now, the ghosts of those long ago deceased in some cases are said to still linger at those sites where they once lived. The Haunted James House and Three Chimneys Inn, where you can dine with ghosts, are two such places. So you can go there and check this out. They have an events offered at the James House allow you to take a peek inside, hear ghost stories, and even participate in some, well, they say seances. Don't do seances. Seances are bad. Stay away from them. So I would not participate in your seances. Again, what I like to do is I like to educate people about things that are going on in the paranormal, but I also always teach about the dangers. Do not do seances. Don't do them. And the reason is you don't want to do seances because you don't know what you're communicating with. And that is a form of invitation. That is a form of summoning. Now, you're not trying to purposely summon a demon. I know that's what you're going to say. However, you cannot determine what is going to come through and what is not going to come through, because it'll come through whether you like it or not. Once you give the invitation for the summoning, a demon will come through whether you like it or not. So that's the way it works in demonology. So do not participate in seances. That is bad. But anyway, you can go and you can, if you want to experience the historical part of it, you can certainly do that. I think it's pretty cool. I would go just for the historical aspect, but I'm not in New Hampshire. But for me, if I were, that's where I would go. Yeah, it really is dangerous. I know people may disagree with me on that. I get it. I understand that, and I respect your right. Your right to believe in what you wish to believe. However, I have had cases where people played around with Ouija boards, and you know my views on that. I have had cases where people did some seances, and all hell broke loose in their home. Here's the deal. And this is the God's honest truth. When you do a seance, you really have no way. There is no way of guaranteeing that a demonic entity will not come through. There's no way of guaranteeing that, because many times the demonic entity will come through as a child. And people say, well, that's not fair. Well, they don't operate ethically. That's not what demonic entities do. They're not going to say, I'm a big demon, boo. That's not how they're going to operate. They're going to usually operate in a way that is not aggressive, that's not violent. In the beginning, that is welcoming. And before you know it, oh, it's a child. Oh, isn't that cute? It's a 4-year-old, 5-year-old baby. Oh, what's your name? Can you make a noise? Now, you have no idea that you're speaking to a demonic entity. And that is how they operate. But you're given the invitation, because now you're communicating with what you think is a child, and you're not communicating with a child at all. So, oh gosh, yeah, a demon not only can move, yes, most certainly can. But Steve is asking a good question. Can a demon move a physical object? They do, but they do not move physical objects to impress you. They move physical objects, and you are usually, or someone, that whoever the target is, that's the target. So there is usually a point, and it's not to say, hey, just letting you know I'm here. It's saying, hey, I know that you're here, and I'm going to throw this at you, whether it be no matter what. I mean, I've had cases where a sharp scissors were thrown at an individual. There was a case. I was in this home, and we were doing a blessing, and this person, I really didn't know, he was clergy. He wanted to help this family. And I mean, I have never heard a noise like this before. It was downstairs. It sounded like one of those big old wrecking balls came through and hit, the living room. And apparently because it's one of the clergy members got scared and ran outside. But we were upstairs, and we were doing the minor rite of exorcism. And we heard this god-awful sound. And I thought it was the clergy who had run down the stairs. I thought maybe he had hit it. I don't know. It was so loud. And we ran down the stairs to find out what in the world's going on. And this big, heavy couch was thrown from the living room until basically you had the living room here, and then right next door to it, you had the dining room. So this couch was flung so hard into the dining room that it crashed into the dining room table, hit the actual wall, and embedded itself in the wall. So when demonic entities do that, they're trying to intimidate. And that's something that a human spirit cannot do. They simply don't have the energy to do that. But here's something here. Is anyone here from UK? Are you anybody from the UK? There's an event going on. There's a festival of the unexplained is being held this weekend. So if you guys want to, if you're in the UK, you can check that out. And there's a lot of people here. So anyway, if you're interested, you can kind of check that. I don't know if anybody's from the UK here, but if you are, the mystery of the unexplained. All right. How do you, I didn't say something how to dream. Okay. Well, if you're in the UK, there is, and you're probably going to laugh because I'm probably destroying the name, but there is a UFO, Ghost and Aliens under the microscope as Leicestershire host leading UK paranormal event. LEICESTERSHIRE. Well, that's a long city. But anyway, they're hosting some big paranormal event there of unexplained. They'll be talking about all kinds of stuff. It's a 3-day event, opens today and continues until Sunday. So you can check that out if you're in the area. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I have never been to I would love to go to the UK. But I've never been to. Maybe one day there'll be a paranormal conference and they'll say, hey, Bishop Long, you want to go to? Sure. I'd love to go to UK. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Say it again, please. San Diego. Now, if you are from San Diego is beautiful. San Diego, it really is. Do I believe in aliens? I do. I'm a big space nerd. I mean, man, I went to, like I said, I went to space camp as a kid. That pretty much tells you I'm a nerd. There is no, and I've said this before. Some people say, well, I don't believe it. All right. Well, again, I've said this before in a show. Let me just give you a little bit of a fact, a little nerd factoid here. Yes, I said nerd factoid. In our solar system alone, first of all, our solar system, we're very small. We are literally, if you take a sand pebble and if you drop it in the ocean's the universe, and our solar system is that little tiny bitty sand pebble that you dropped in the middle of the ocean. We're very, very small. Now, and we're talking about the ocean is the universe. Massive. If you go to Jupiter from Earth and you travel at 42,000 miles per hour, 42,000, do you know how long it would take you to get to Jupiter? Now, we know this because we've sent satellites to Jupiter from Earth. So we know how long it takes. So, yes, I went to Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama Space Camp. I'm telling you, I was such a nerd. Still a nerd. But now, you're right, Diana. It would take you 10 years. Think about that just think about that. You're traveling 42,000 miles per hour. I can't even fathom that. 42,000. You leave Earth to get to Jupiter in our tiny little tiny planet in our solar system. It will take you 10 years. 10 years at 42,000 miles per hour. Now, here's what's scary. Okay. If it takes 42,000 miles per hour and it takes 10 years just to get to Jupiter, if another species is able to travel from their distant galaxy solar system to ours, they are so far superior in technology than we can even fathom. That's a little frightening for me. There's a lot of people who have, especially when you're talking about the Greys, 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 aliens. There are a lot of people who say that they have absolutely been abducted. Now, I know Travis Walton. I've had the opportunity to speak to Travis Walton several times about his situation with the movie A Fire in the Sky. his story is very, very convincing. And when you speak and talk to him about this, he's absolutely, there's no guessing. He's 100% convinced that this happened to him. 100%. I got to tell you, there's far too many people who are saying that they're seeing the same thing. Yeah, you're right. Some of the master, you said they can fold time and space. Well, we're talking about a wormhole then. So basically, the nerd alert. So you have here in this section of a part of the universe, and you have our part of the universe, or in our little solar system. And let's say that if you get 42,000 miles per hour, it would take you 500,000 years to travel from here to here. So then how are you able to get from here to here without obviously dying on the ship of old age? Well, people will say you bend time and you bring these closer and you create a wormhole so that it's no longer going to take 500,000 years or whatever it might be. It could take 5 minutes. So that's the theory on how they're able to do the time warp. Sounds like that movie. What is that movie called? Let's do the time warp. I forgot. My brain is that. What is that movie called? You know what I'm talking about? Let's do the time warp again. It's just a jump to the right. Isn't that sad? I know the darn movie. Rocky Horror Picture Show. There we go. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Rocky Horror. That's a great song, by the way. Great song. Now get this. Now, if you are in San Diego, for those of you who are in San Diego actually ranks second for California's most supernatural sightings. Did you know this? This is from 10news.com. 10news.com. And DeAnthony Taylor wrote this just recently. And DeAnthony said a new research report has revealed that San Diego has the second most supernatural sightings in the state of California. Now, according to the Great Lakes Stakes, California has the highest amount of paranormal experiences in the United States with over 22,000 sightings. As of 2022, the city of San Diego has at least 596 sightings of both UFOs and ghosts, with Los Angeles topping the list at 653. Now, California has been on the extraterrestrial capital with 15,072 UFO encounters, with Texas being home of the most spirit sightings. Texas, look at that, everybody. Texas being the home of the most spirit sightings, 7,382. How the heck? How do you know this? That's what I want to know. How does... I don't know. Okay. All right. Oh, wait, let's back this train up, as Wilma says. Now, wait a minute. How did you know that there's only 7,382 alleged sightings? I mean, it's not like a government official is sitting here. Tell me about your ghost story. There's one. Tell me about your ghost story. Oh, there's two. I mean, really? But Texas, Texas, for those of you Texans, there you go. Aliens, ghosts, and the supernatural, he says, have long been a talking point across America, with tens of thousands of sightings of each documented since records began. Now, but after the Pentagon released a statement in June last year revealing, folks, you can be a naysayer all you want to, but the Pentagon released a statement in June last year revealing it has no explanation for 143 unidentified aerial phenomena. Evidence of the paranormal life beyond this world has never been stronger, the author says. The company says they analyzed the number of UFO and ghost sightings in all 50 states, collecting information from the National UFO Reporting Center and Ghost of America, so they could reveal the odds of seeing the supernatural in each state. So there you go. Those are the names of the company that's gathering this information: the National UFO Reporting Center and Ghost of America. Los Angeles, 653. San Diego, 596. Sacramento, 368. San Jose, You're at 327. San Francisco, well, good grief. This sounds like to me that these are all California. To 287. It is, but it does have here Great Lakes states. I don't know. There's a breakdown of sightings with ghosts and everything else. California 179,900 total. Now these are UFO and ghosts and things of this nature, but now Texas has 231,300 total. That's a lot. Louisiana 264,000. Kentucky 160,000. Wow, there's a lot going on here. That's crazy. Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, Georgia is 255. Here's what's interesting that I'm looking at this map. Now, New York has 255,200. But the further you go to the east, it looks to me that the numbers drop off, like Maine, 71,000. But the further out west you go, it really does climb pretty high. But it does seem the Midwest is really high. We're talking in the 150s, 180s. Well, Illinois is 191,000. This map is what they at this site 10news.com, and this is where I found it. It is it shows the Great Lakes Stakes. That's the name of it. Great Lakes Stakes of Paranormal and Ghost. You know what I'll do? I'll take a screenshot and I'll put this on my. Oh, these are the odds. Okay. This is the odds of seeing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of this and then I'll put it on my Facebook page after the show, and you guys can take a look at that. Facebook.com/Bishop James Long. So I'll put that up there. That way you guys can see this. That's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how. And as a matter of fact, I'll even copy the link. You know what? Let me do this now. That way I won't forget since we're doing the show, because this is really interesting. And I'll also give you the link of the article. That way you can take a look at that, the article that I found. And, okay, there is the article. And let's take the thumb thing, and I'm going to put the picture up here. There we go. And post. So it's facebook.com/Bishop James Long. Bishop James Long is all one word. And it's posting now. Yep, it's up there now. So I put the link up there for you, as well as the map. It's the odds of, what is this? Odds of seeing the supernatural. So you can take a look at that. And again, facebook.com/Bishop James Long. Okay. And that'd be pretty cool. Well, hello there, UK. Hello. For those of you, by the way, I really like doing this. I really like sharing information with you guys as far as what's going on, stuff that I find online and that people ask me to advertise. Mineral Springs walking tours start on March the 13th, just in a couple days from now. And this is from Dylan Suttles. And this is from the telegraph.com. And I'm trying to look at here where, as far as the information for this, it says at Alton, it's raining. Zen and the Soul Asylum are bringing back the historic walking tours of the mysterious Mineral Springs Hotel for 2022, starting Sunday, March 13th from 1 to 4:30 p.m. on 301 East Broadway. The tour is a combination of historic walking tour and paranormal investigation. Dave Nunnally, he's the owner of the Soul Asylum. So you can Google that. Dave Nunnally of the Soul, SOUL Asylum, will share the complete history of the building, as well as how the community and regional haunted history contribute of the haunts to Mineral Springs. All the necessary investigation gear will be provided. So, but folks, be careful when you're using these. You got to be careful about this stuff, because you really don't know what you're dealing with. And I always tell people you got to be very, very, very careful. I just, when you start investigating, boy, you can get into some big trouble. So just, everybody's an adult, but just be cautious. But anyway, you can go, if you want tickets, it looks like you can go to eventbrite.com, Eventbrite, BRITE.com. The Mineral Springs Hotel walking tour. I would, again, for me, I would go not to investigate. I would go for the history, like Waverly Hills. I love Waverly Hills, but I also love the history of Waverly Hills. And to me, that, I don't know. I've always loved the historical aspect. So when I go to Waverly Hills, I always go for I love going for the historical tour. I'm kind of curious. I'm curious about what you guys think. And to you as well, Wendy. Would you buy a house that was for sale for a good deal where a murder was committed? You heard me correctly. I'm curious, how many of you would buy a house if you had a really good deal? It was a good deal where a murder was committed. Some say absolutely, nope. So I don't know, nope. On TikTok, they're saying yes, okay. No thanks, nope. There's a lot of nopes. Some people say yes. 200% yes. All right. Well, listen to this. No murder house for me, Deacon Tommy says. So there are some people who say yeah. It's all about the deal. Well, okay. This is from Newsweek, newsweek.com. And this is from Isla Slisko. The Americans are actually split. And it is interesting because this article says Americans are actually split on whether they'd buy a house where a murder was committed. And actually, we see there's a lot of yes and there's a lot of no. So this is, again, on newsweek.com. Americans are split on whether they would be willing to buy a house that the previous owners were murdered in, according to a recent poll. So a YouGov, YOUGOV poll released last week found about 30% of adults, U.S. citizens, would be willing to buy a house that had been owned by murder victims, but was in their price range and met all the other requirements, while 32% were not willing and 38% were unsure or just preferred not to say. Now, while most people did not say that they would buy houses that prior owners had been murdered in, realtors attempting to sell such homes may find success, depending on factors that include the sale price and the state of the market. Some people who are more bothered by the event will not purchase such a home unless there's a huge discount in the price, Dr. Lawrence Yun, chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, said in a statement to Newsweek. Well, that makes sense. Those less bothered would not need a discount, he added. The sold price will be determined by the number of buyers in the group not bothered, especially in an inventory-stricken market like the one we're currently experiencing. Now, we all know one of the most famous stories of the haunted home in which murders took place in the Amityville Horror House. So, but I don't know. In 1974, by the way, in November 14, 1974, police and members of the Suffolk County Coroner's Office investigation, they investigated the murder of 6 people found shot in Amityville, New York. Ronald DeFeo Jr., the man convicted of slaughtering his parents and 4 siblings in a home that later inspired the book and movie, The Amityville Horror. By the way, Ronald DeFeo Jr. died Friday, March 12, 2021, at Albany Medical Clinic Center, where he was taken February 2nd from a prison in New York, Catskill Mountains, prison officials and said. So he was 69 years old. I don't, it's interesting, Amanda, the new owners the new owners of the house, they've never experienced anything at all. Nothing. As a matter of fact, the owners of that home were so frustrated because they were constantly getting people showing up taking pictures that they even tried to change the side of the house. It was just, they were getting really, really frustrated. Home sales rose sharply, according to this article, in the beginning of 2022, while the supply of homes reached a record low, according to the NAR. Now, home sales were also sharpening faster than usual, happening and selling on average 19 days after going on the market. So obviously, it's a buyer's market. I don't know. I just it's very interesting. I don't know if would I do it? If I did, it would never ever be to disrespect the individuals who were murdered, in that home. I would have a problem. Was it the Lindsey Borden? Well, didn't I? I thought I saw that house was for sale. For those of you who are paranormal enthusiasts, for some reason I thought I read that the Lizzie Borden's house was for sale. Was that or was it recently for sale? Yeah, was that true? Yeah, well, actually, no. Gacy's house was actually destroyed. So yeah, Gacy's house was destroyed. Yeah, once they dug up the floorboard of where and the crawl space, they destroyed. They tore that house down. Now there's a house built on top of where Gacy's house was, but no, Gacy's original house is not there. But I did see. I thought I saw Lizzie Borden's house was up for sale. But anyway, I don't know. It's an interesting question, but I just don't know. I don't know. But speaking of paranormal, oh, it was okay. Tom, what's it say? Lizzie Borden's house was up for sale. $890,000. Dear goodness gravy, $890,000. I mean, that's great. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The property, they built a new house in 2019. Yeah, I don't know. I've studied a lot, just because I studied a lot on people who like Gacy and other serial killers. A lot of people have asked me, what do I think about, do I think it was demonic possession? No, I don't, because they knew what they were doing. When you're possessed, there's no memory of it at all. It's a catatonic state. So with them, they knew exactly what they were doing. Now, could it have been a demonic influence, falling under ordinary demonic activity? Certainly, no question. But do I believe that they were possessed? No, because again, they knew what they were doing the whole time. And so I think they freely chose. They were just, whether it be psychologically damaged individuals, I mean, truly to do something of this case. So when I was in the seminary, I went to a couple of the state hospitals, and also I went to visit people in state prison. And there was one individual there's several people that really made me uncomfortable. I wouldn't call them possessed, but I met a couple serial killers, and I sat across the table from one of them, and I remember having a conversation, and he told me exactly what he did, but what made it really eerie is that when he was describing the horrible, I mean, my God, the things that this man did, it was like he was telling you how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. There was no emotion. There was no emotion. None. Yeah, I just, for example, this is how it was, monotone. And I'm just giving an example. Yeah, I woke up this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. I went to started in the hospital and helped them out and did this. And then I answered some emails. And then I'm giving that as an example. But now imagine some of the most god awful things you could possibly imagine doing to another human being. And that's how it was. It was, thank you, Shannon. It was terrible, terrible. But there was no emotion, none. And well, I mean, it was sadistic. I mean, this was an extremely sadistic individual, where there was I don't know. I've never seen that before. I've never to sit across somebody and hear them tell and I'm not going to go into details what they said, but they hears the things and describe it like they're like making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's what it was like. Like, yeah, no big deal. That was scary. That was very scary. I talked about this one time. I walked into a woman's house who said that she had a demon in her home, and it was in the kitchen. And so I walked in there, and there were thousands of puncture holes in her wall in the kitchen. I mean, from the ceiling to the floor, thousands of puncture holes. And I kept looking and I thought, my gosh, I said, this is a problem. Are you remodeling, or is there a problem here? Why are there so many holes in this wall? Because I thought maybe they were tearing it up. I don't know. And she got this broom, and at the end of the broom was the biggest butcher knife that I've ever seen in my life, duct tape at the end of this broom. And she got it out, and she said, every time I see that demon, I stab it. Okay. I tell you what, I got to go run out in the car and grab something, and then I will be right back. That was my first case of, oh dear God, I really could get here. I could get hurt here. I could seriously get hurt. Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible. And by the way, Shannon Long 30, are you going to go live before we're not ending the show? We still got plenty of time. Yeah, different dimensions. You know, there's a lot of people do talk about different dimensions, and if I believe in that, it is interesting. It's an interesting theory. I got to tell you, there are people who will say that we have doppelgangers, and the doppelgangers are they are interdimensional, or they live on a different plane than we do. There's the movie called The Others, a phenomenal movie, one of the greatest movies. I think an amazing movie, amazing. But it really does kind of open your mind to the possibility of dimensions that you're talking about. I want to get it away because maybe people might not have seen it. But if you have not seen the movie The Others, Nicole Kidman stars in it. Do yourself a favor and watch it. It's one of the most amazing movies. There's twists and turns, but yeah, it is a phenomenal movie. Gene, no, she was seeing every time I see that demon, I stab it. This was not someone who was reporting that she's hearing noises in the wall. This was someone who is telling me that they're seeing the demon, and then she stabs this demon and leaves massive puncture holes in the wall. That was pretty frightening. By the way, the U.S. Sun is reporting this. This is interesting. There are top 10 states where you're most likely to see a UFO revealed. And which ones are the spookiest? You want to know what they are? Well, according to thesun.com, again, great art, Katie Davis writes, mysterious objects hurling through the sky have been a long source of fascination around the world. Dozens of reported UFO sightings are recorded each year in the United States. And now the states where you're most likely to spot one, they've been revealed. Well, let's find out what's going on here. Well, UFOs have become a hot topic in Washington, all over the world, moving from being dismissed as fringe conspiracy to actually serious national security debate. Many U.S. intelligence officials and servicemen have gone on the record in recent years to document the mysterious phenomenon. Now, a historic report by the Pentagon, like we talked about, revealed that there have been sightings that they just simply cannot explain. There has been data collected since records began until now, and they've analyzed from all 50 states by Great Lake Stakes, with one clear winner. As I mentioned, California is apparently the UFO capital of the United States with a staggering 15,000 sightings. Florida is a fair way behind in second with 7,500. Coming in third is Washington with 6,720. Texas, fourth with 5,631. Now, this is just UFOs. And New York, 5,400. Arizona, 4,600. And of course, topping the top 10 was Pennsylvania with 4,500. Ohio, 4,100. Illinois, 4,000. And Michigan, 3,300. What is up with California? I know California is a huge state, but it seems like there's a lot of going on with California and sightings and paranormal stuff. I don't know. You're in the desert in California, Edwards Air Force Base, Lockheed. Yeah. That's what I think a lot of people, and this is what I personally feel, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel that a lot of people, what they're seeing in the sky is military equipment being used that we just simply, top secret, we just simply don't know. But California, here I come. Eva, how do you feel about aliens? We know God created us. Yep. But how do we know that he didn't create our aliens too? Well, the Vatican has even talked about aliens, and they have said on record that you can certainly be Christian and still believe in alien life. It doesn't take away from that. There's too much evidence coming up. There's way too much evidence. There's far too many people reporting this. There's way too many people that's reporting seeing something they don't understand. There are pilots. These are people who are trained in the sky. They are trained to know aircraft. And these are pilots that are reporting things that they just simply can't dismiss. You're right, Maddie Rose, that's true. NASA put together a group of clergy to kind of answer the question, how would human beings handle it from a theological perspective if alien actually did show themselves? It's an interesting question. Okay, very good thing. Appreciate that. Now, by the way, don't forget, everybody, make sure that you go to the great website. You can real quick. I do have a couple of brand new items at bishopjameslong.com. bishopjameslong.com. Click on the store. Now, I don't have a whole lot of these, so if you're going to get them, you need to get them. But I got this, and I love this. Love this. I was sent this by a friend. This is, of course, the crucifix. And on these items, they have really some beautiful, beautiful items. I really think they're really cool. Yes, I have to wear this. But there's holy water. Actually, I want to make sure that a pure water from the Jordan River. There is earth from Jerusalem, virgin olive oil from Bethlehem, frankincense is olive wood cross from the Holy Land as well. Now, these items are not blessed. However, and I don't really care what anyone thinks, I will bless them for free as a courtesy. You're not buying blessed items. That would be called simony. But I will bless them so that you don't have to find, because I know some people don't have clergy. So I will bless this for you as a courtesy. But again, you're not buying blessed items. But anyway, this, okay, so that is online now. And for those of you who like the Benedictine bracelets, I finally have them in. The Benedictine bracelets are very hard to get. Very, very, very hard. So if you want a Benedictine bracelet, you need to get it today. Because I cannot promise you that they're gonna, I mean, they go fast. They go very, very fast, and they're hard to get. So again, bishopjameslong.com. And of course, I use the funding to go to the ministry, bishopjameslong, LONG.com. So pick yours up today. Also, don't forget to go to kgradb.com, KG, G as in giraffe, RADB.com. Make sure you sign up. There's a fantastic subscription. Make sure you put Bishop, and you get 30% off your subscription. 30%. That's pretty impressive. So don't forget that. And I think you're going to like it. So make sure Bishop James Long, bishopjameslong.com. And you can purchase these, and you can purchase the Benedictine bracelet. So I do have those available for you. And again, it goes to funding the ministry. All right. For those of you who are listening on Spreaker, I'm going to say God bless to you guys and have a beautiful, beautiful evening. And Spreaker is now heading out. Now, folks, remember, I tell you all the time that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless. I really do mean that. And don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. For those of you who are Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, God bless. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course.